Hi designers! In this video, I am going to share with you how to begin creating a digital photo montage inspired by the work of British artist David Hockney. Here we see a street scene photo montage by David Hockney, a chair, and his desk area. To begin, you will want to upload your photos into the Apple Photos app. So here I have about 40 to 50 landscape photos, and I've created a folder on my desktop titled Photo Montage Source Photos. I'm highlighting over the photos that I want to put into that folder in Apple Photos, and I'm dragging those photos into my photo montage source photos folder. So I'll give them a second to load. Then I'm going to open Adobe Bridge. If you haven't opened Adobe Bridge before, you can get there through the search tool. So I'll just start typing in Bridge. And the icon for Bridge looks similar to the Photoshop icon. It is a square outlined in kind of a yellow color. So Bridge is helpful for working with a variety of programs. Over here on the left panel, I can see different areas of documents, and I am on my desktop, so I'm going to now find my photo montage source photos folder. Open that up, and really the most efficient way to get all of these photos into a new document in Adobe Photoshop is to now highlight over all of the photos in Bridge. Then on the menu bar, I'm navigating to Tools, Photoshop, Load Files into Photoshop Layers. So again, that's Tools, Photoshop, Load Files into Photoshop Layers. And this will load all of the images from that folder into one Photoshop file. So this might take a minute depending on how many photos you have in your folder. So now that I have my photos into one Photoshop file with multiple layers, I want to create a background for my image and then also resize the canvas. So I'm going to scroll down in my layers panel down to the lowest image, and then I'm clicking create a new layer. This layer is empty, but I'm going to fill it with a solid white fill using the paint bucket tool. It's not visible right now because it's behind all of the photos, but soon it will be visible. And I want to change my canvas size. So here on the menu bar, I'm going to Image, Canvas Size, and I want the canvas to be 11 by 17 inches. And for my particular work, I would like it to be landscape format. So that means I will make the width longer, the 17 inches, and the height a bit shorter at 11 inches. Pressing OK. And then I'm going to move. It looks like that bottom layer got pushed above a photo, so I'm moving it below a photo. And I want to resize my photos because they are larger than the canvas size. Now I could do this layer by layer, which would be fine, but would take a good deal amount of time. So I'm going to do multiple layers at once by clicking on the lowest layer, scrolling to the top of my layers panel, holding down Shift, and selecting them all. I'm going to go to the Move tool. And if you don't see this sort of dotted box, check that the Show Transform controls is checked in the options bar. It is. I'm going to hold down Shift while I resize them so that they proportionally do stay the same size. Gotten them a bit smaller, so I hit enter, and I'm just gonna give this a minute. I can move multiple layers at once, but I actually wanna make it a bit smaller so it really fits within this rectangle that I've created. Maybe even a bit smaller. Okay, so I'm happy with that size. I hit return. And we want to make sure that we're saving our work often in this process. So I'm gonna go to File, Save As, last name, first name, photo, montage. Now begins the fun part. You're going to spend some time arranging your layers and editing just the format of the layers. So you want to think about the spacing of your image and where you photographed your work, what will look best where, and create an interesting photo montage. Remember that you can move layers behind one another simply by using the layers panel to move them down or up. You can also use some shortcuts. So for instance, if I click on this layer here in the top right-hand corner, I can use the keyboard shortcut, which is Command and one of the inverted parentheses to bring it forward just one layer at a time. So this is a good time to learn some of the keyboard shortcuts. You can find those by going to Layer, and arrange and finding them under there. So bring to front, bring forward, send backward, send to back. Some other things you will want to do with the individual layers. So I'm going to switch over to a photo montage I began that is a bit further along. You're going to want to adjust the saturation of the layers and change some of the layers to black and white. So about 75% of this project should be in black and white. You can do that a variety of ways. You could select multiple layers at once and go to Image. Actually, you will only be able to do that one layer at a time. Sorry about that. You can go to Image, Adjustments, Black and White to totally desaturate a layer and have some control over the brightness and contrast of the layer. You can also go to Image, Adjustments, Hue, Saturation. And if you use this tool, you can see that I'm bringing the saturation down and my layer is becoming less saturated and closer to black and white, but I have some more control where I can think about having some of the color left in that layer. So you will want to play around with this and the placement of your layers. You do want to leave some negative space, and you might consider saving multiple versions of your work as you work on that. So a good way to do this is to go to File, Save As, and then at the end of your file name, maybe you just write the day's date, like the 25th. And so that's what you worked on this class period. And then you could save it at the 27th for your next class period. Some other tips are changing the opacity of the layers. So you can do this in the Layers panel by bringing down the opacity. You might also consider cropping a photo by using the Crop tool. So if I select another layer, the Crop tool is underneath the magic wand. It's the 5th tool down in your toolbar. And this gives you some control just to bring in the size of that photo. All right, designers, have fun creating your work, and please be inspired by this work of David Hockney and his photo montages. Good luck.